Hello everyone, welcome to the purple classes of the Res Indica IAS Academy, Desh Badla Padhai Badlo. Today we'll be talking about some of the very important schemes related to the civil aviation sector. Okay, here we will be discussing regarding some of the very important schemes, at the same time some of the policies related to the civil aviation sector, right? So, the topic that we are going to study today will be the National Air Sports Policy. Then we will be discussing about the National Drone Rules of 2021, then National Civil Aviation Policy of 2016, then Regional Connectivity Scheme, that is also called it as RCS, that is Ude Desh Ke Aam Nagrik, then Regional Connectivity Fund, and NUB, that is Next Gen Airport for Bharat Nirman initiatives. So these are very important schemes and policy which has been launched by the government of India, especially for the promotion of the Indian civil aviation market and also to give boost to the Indian aviation market. Okay, so let's start with the first policy that we call it as National Air Sports Policy. Okay, so this National Air Sports Policy, as the word suggests, like how we can utilize the airspace for the sporting activity. Okay, because this National Air Sports Policy wanted to make India a top sporting nation by 2030. Okay, like how we are going to provide by providing them with a safer, affordable, accessible and enjoyable and sustainable airport. So this is what is very much needed, because that has to have a safety, that has to have a stable affordability, that has to have accessibility, that has to also have enjoyability and sustainability. Okay, so as the name suggests, air sporting means there are a lot of air activity, sporting activity that is involved in the medium of air. Like in air, we are doing some kind of air sporting activity like air racing, aerobatics, aero modeling, hand gliding, paragliding, paramotoring, skydiving and various other sporting activities are there which may be generated in the coming future. Okay, and India is having a lot of potential to lead in the field of air sporting and the air sporting area. Okay, we know that India is having a large geographical spans. Okay, India has a wider topographic features are there, mountains are there, rivers, seas, then various type of rainforest are there. So you can like what they call it as that you can do air sporting activity at any of these places. Okay, you can just jump up from there. Okay, like paragliding, hand gliding, modeling and various others. Okay, and also India is having a large population of youth, especially, which is much more enthusiastic about these type of sporting activity. Like if you go to any of the hill station, if you go to any of the tourism places, you will be finding these parachuting, paragliding, all these activities are going on. So there is a this is a kind of a adventure sports in the aviation that is taking place. Okay, so that is why this National Aviation Sports Policy of 2022 is a one step direction in that way. Okay, so inputs are being received for the policy maker, like what type of sports, what type of public, what type of equipment, instructors, services, infrastructure, that is all needed for this whole process. Okay, so what is the main objective that we are focusing on? Obviously, first of all is to promote the air sport culture. Okay, right now there is no very little culture of air sporting because of some kind of safety issue, then sometimes affordability issue also comes. So that is why government is focusing on to promote air sporting culture. Okay, then also to adopt the international goods practices in safety. Okay, so it should not be limited to air sporting infrastructure. It should be better equipments has to be there, better operational work has to be there, proper maintenance and training all has to be provided in a similar way. Okay, and then after that also have to develop a very simple, stakeholder friendly and effective governance structure. Okay, so whatever the structure that you are making, it has to be very, very stakeholder friendly. It should not be that much too costly, simple, and also effective governance. Okay, then also at the same time, it wanted to enhance the participation and success of the Indian sports person in global air sports eating. So there are a lot of air sporting event in which our Indian sports person have even participated. Okay, so we wanted them to be doing they should be motivating the people, and they themselves being taking part in all these activities. Okay, then promote design, development, and manufacturing of air sports equipment. So once the sporting activity started, then the other lot of extension services like equipments and various other things against the other type of industry also gets developed around that. So this will also further give boost to the Atmanirbhar Bharat concept Abhiyan. Okay, so this is the key objective of the National Air Sporting Policy 2022. Right, so these are some of the very important air sporting that is being a part of India, like aerobatics, aero modeling and model rocketry, amateur build and experimental aircrafting, ballooning, drones, gliding and power gliding, hand gliding and power hand gliding, then parachuting, including skydiving, base jumping, and wingsuits. People used to wear the wingsuits and they just fly like that. Okay, then paragliding and paramotoring is there. So they have a paragliding motor is also there, is being part of that, where powered parachute tricks are there. Then powered aircraft like ultra light, micro light sports aircraft will be there, and sometimes we have a rotor craft including auto gyro. So these are some of the very, very important air sports activity that can be utilized in our air sporting infrastructure. Now, under this national air sporting policy, there is a 4-tier of governance structure that they have put on. Okay, like how the governance of this air sporting policy will be done. Okay, so first will be at the topmost, there will be the Air Sports Federation of India, that we call it as ASFI. Okay, this is going to be the apex, which will be the head governing body. Okay, this will be the head governing body of this national air sporting policy. Okay, after that there will be the National Association for Individual Air Sports, or a set of air sports will be there. So there will be a national association for, like for every sports they will be having a single national association that will be there. Like they can have a national association for aerobatics, they can have a national association for drone, they can have a national association for ballooning will be there. Okay, then they will be setting up a regional, like western, southern, northeastern, or state or union territory level of National Air Sports Association that will be there. And at the very lower level, they will be having a district level air sports association that will be there. Okay, so this is how is the governing part of this whole process. Okay, so why this national air policy came into being is that because we know that in India around 70% of the population of our country is comprising of the age up to 35, below 35 people. That means we wanted to leverage the energy of our youths. Okay, because we know that our youths, like if we count like 70% of the Indian population, which is equivalent to the total population of Europe, and it is sometimes equivalent to the 3 times of the population of the USA. So here we can utilize and the energy of our youths in this whole sporting events, right? Then India has a huge geographical expanse. We know that we have a lot of Himalayas are there, we have mountainous regions are there, we have northeastern areas are there, where we have Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, deserts area, plain area. We have a various type of coastlines are there, western eastern coastline are there. Okay, so we have a wider diversity of using this air sporting facility at various geographical areas, because here you can take the enjoyment of this air sporting policy at any type of location, whichever you are liking it. Okay, and then we also wanted to attract the air sport enthusiasts who are there in our country, who are in the other parts of the world, who are living in other parts of the world, okay, where like who are living in the harsh winter, from preventing them from participating. Like in India has a very pleasant climate, okay. It is like that, every type of climate is here. Sometimes in some countries, those who are being very enthusiastic about participating in the air sports event, but they are not able to participate because they have a very harsh winter. Okay, so we have seen that there are a lot of enthusiasts in Europe, North America, Australia. They can flock to India to participate in the winter seasons also, okay, because we have a very light winter season in our own country, if we go by like that. Okay, so what exactly is the target that we are targeting? Okay, so earlier there was a market size of about 5,000 odd air sports practitioners are there, who were creating around 80 to 100 crores of annual revenue. But right now, with this whole policy, we are targeting around 8,000 to 10,000 crore annual revenue, and also around we wanted to generate 1 lakh direct jobs. So indirect jobs, we along with the if they are creating 1 lakh jobs directly, so it can be like 3 times of the indirect jobs will be also created in that area. So this is what the target that we are focusing on for the national air sporting policy. Okay, so there are two very important air sports player are there in our country who are the Padma Shri awardee winners, right? Sheetal Mahajan and Rachel Thomas. Okay, Sheetal Mahajan was known for to perform an accelerated free fall jump over the Antarctica from 10,000 feet, and she's the youngest woman to jump over both North Pole and South Pole, and it became the first woman jumper to perform it without trials, without any kind of trials. Then we have a Rachel Thomas is there. She is an Indian woman skydiver, and she dived from 7,000 feet over the North Pole. Both air sports enthusiasts expressed their gratitude for introducing the national air sports policy, and they wanted that India should become the national air sports policy hub by 2030. So this is what is a target that they have selected for the India. Now we are moving towards the next topic, that is called drone rules of 2021. Okay, so this is also a very new topic, and new what we call it as a technology, which is creating a lot of gain in various markets. Okay, so drones are taking various things, from unmanned aerial vehicle to remotely piloted aerial vehicles. Okay, so they are being a very important tools for various type of works. Okay, so if we go by the drones are unmanned aerial vehicle, that is we also call it as UAVs, or remotely piloted aerial systems are there. They are either controlled by the pilot on the ground or with the help of a technology or a remote, right? So a lot of benefits in the field of agriculture, in the field of mining, infrastructure, surveillance, emergency response, transportation, geospatial mapping, defense, law. So wherever you wanted a remotely something working, drones offer a tremendous benefit in all these areas. Okay, so drone market is gaining and booming, and it is gaining by an exponential rate in our country, and in drones are being significant creator of the employment and economic growth. They have a wider reach, they have a wider versatility, easy to use. Like India has a wider various type of geographical location which are very inaccessible, remotely accessible. So drone offers a very important support in those areas. Okay, so they are focusing on innovation, information technology, engineering, and that is why they are having a huge demand and a potential for, and wanted to make India a global drone hub by 2030. So usage of the drone are like, if we go by some of the very recent example, like whatever the example that has been recently been done, that is like surveillance systems in the railway security. A survey of India is utilizing drone mapping to inhabited areas in the villages. Okay, so they used to say, they used to send the drones and try to map out the area with the help of the drones under the Swamitwa scheme. Swamit is like the land monitoring area. Okay, India even deployed the drones in the COVID-19 vaccine delivery also. Indian Council of Medical Research have even done the pilot projects in the Manipur, Nagaland, Andaman and Nicobars for delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine. And drone is come very handy in the surveillance of the COVID-19 hotspot, and also to find out the containment zone, so that strict compliance and lockdown guidelines. If some places which cannot be monitored by the personals, drones can monitor that. Okay, drones can take the photo and camera, and based on that they can do the policing work also. This has been demonstrated by the Chandigarh police in the containment zone. And then Ministry of Civil Aviation under the Directorate of General Civil Aviation have granted conditional exemption to the BCCI for the deployment of the drones for live aerial cinematography for the Indian cricket season of 2021. So again, drones are being utilized for various type of cinematographic works also. Now, why are drones important? Because we have already discussed all these things regarding that. I think this got repeated, sorry. Now, what is the likely impact of this drone initiative? What exactly, after utilizing all these things, what is the likely impact of the drone initiative? So under the likely impact of the drone initiative, the drone production link incentive scheme and freely accessible drone space maps, component manufacturing industry. So we are looking forward for around an investment of around 5,000 crore rupees for the next 3 years, because drones has been put under the production link incentive schemes, and even they have also released the drone airspace map also, where the drones can be fly red zone, green zone, yellow zone. All these things have been totally targeted. Okay, so the annual sale and the turnover of the drone manufacturing may grow from rupees 60 crore to over 900 crore by 2023-2024, and they will be expected to generate around 10,000 direct jobs over the next 3 years. Okay, so what is the drone service industry do? They operate, they map, they serve, they do the servicing, then air spraying, then logistic, data analytics, software development. All these will grow at a larger scale, because these all services will be utilized in a large scale in the coming future. So it is expected that in the next 3 years, the drone industry all over the world will be around 30,000 crore in the next 3 years, and it is expected to generate over 5 lakh of jobs in 3 years. Now, remotely piloted aircraft, or we call it as drones, have been classified into 5 categories. Okay, so what is the criteria that they have taken is the weight of that aircraft. Okay, so whenever we have a aircraft which is of 250 gram, that we call it as a nano aircraft or nano drone. For the micro, it is from 250 to 2 kilograms. For the small aircraft, it is 2 kg to 25 kg, and for a medium it is 25 to 150 kg, and if it is a large remotely piloted aircraft, if it is greater than 150 kg, that we call it as large drone. Okay, so this is the 5 category based on the weights. Now regarding the flying part of the drones, Okay, you know that drones fly in the air, so they may intercept, they may interact with the normal aircraft operation near the airport. Okay, so the draft rules of the 2021, they have reduced the airport perimeter. Earlier it was 45 kilometer, now it has been 12 kilometer. Now earlier you cannot fly the drones up to 45 kilometers from the airport. Now it has been reduced to 12 kilometers. Okay, so the rule states that no flight permission would be required to fly up to 400 feet in the green zone. Okay, and up to 200 feet in the area between 8 and 12 kilometers from the airport perimeter. So this is in order to make the normal aircraft operation in the airport much more safer, because the drones may interact with the communication line of the normal aircraft, Airport Authority of India. Then regarding the pilot license, no pilot license would be needed for micro drones for non-commercial usage, nano drones, and for R&D organization. There would be no restriction on the drone operation for foreign owned company who are registered in India. Okay, so this is the regarding the license that you are requiring. Then drone corridors. So the ministry will be facilitating, they will be developing the drone corridors for cargo delivery. That means they will be setting up a height limit, the pathway. Okay, like they will say that, okay, at 250 feet, okay, straight, this is a drone corridor. Okay, so in this area only the drones will operate. So like that, this is just an example. This is just an example that I wanted to tell you. So this, in order to promote the drone, they will be having a proper drone cargo delivery promotion, and they will be helping in facilitating business friendly regulatory regime will be set up like that. Now regarding the safety features, okay, so these draft rules of the drones also provide various type of safety feature like real-time tracking, beacons, and geofencing, which is also to be notified in the further 6 month leading time. Okay, then increased coverage of the drone. Okay, so now the coverage has been increased from 300 kgs to 500 kgs and will cover drone taxis also. Okay, right now, you know, there are drone taxis that will be also be operating in the coming few years. Okay, while the issuance of the certificates of airworthiness and by the Quality Council of India and the certification entities authorized by it. Okay, so this all being certified by the various credit worthy agencies. Okay, then what is the analysis behind that? So if you wanted to liberalize the drone policy, because there are a lot of incidents are happening in the, like, you know, in Jammu, there are some of these drones are also being utilized for dropping of the weapons, dropping of the bombs, and dropping of, like, they can be utilized by the terrorists. Okay, they can be a rogue drones also can be there. So this is again a threat. Okay, just because if something is a threat, we cannot simply remove the whole technology part, yeah, whole industrial part of it. Okay, so the government has to take a very, very bold decision, like how they are going to use the drones and how they are going to use the drone for the development and counter drone technologies in order to address the threat of any type of rogue drones. Okay, so now this is a very, very important move, and India is moving ahead with the various type of rules and regulation, and this is going to be a major part that will be played by the drone rules of 2021. Okay, so some of the 10 important features of the drone airspace maps. Okay, airspace map that we wanted to discuss now. So under the top 10 features, so the drone airspace map will be an interactive map where the yellow zones, red zone, green zone will be demarcated. Okay, like red zone where you cannot fly, yellow zone, yes, some limitation is there, green zone there is no permission required. Okay, so the under the green zone is the airspace up to 400 feet that has not been designated as red or yellow, and up to 200 feet above the area located between 8 to 12 km from the perimeter of operational airport. Normally green zone will be called as 400 feet above the 400 feet of the area in the normal area, and which is not been designated as red or yellow, and near the airport around 8 to 12 kilometers near the airport up to 200 feet of area will be called as green zone. Okay, in green zoning, there is no permission required for operation of the drone within all up weight up to 500 kg. That means if you are running a drone, if you're operating a drone up to 500 kg in the green zone, you don't need any kind of permission for operating that drone. Okay, so yellow zone is yellow zone is the air space which is above 400 feet in a designated green zone, above 200 feet in an area located 8 to 12 kilometers from the perimeter of the operational airport above the ground, which is located between 5 to 8 kilometers from the perimeter of operational airport. Okay, so any drone which is operation in yellow zone have to require a permission from the ATC, Air Traffic Control Authority, either Airport Authority of India, Indian Air Force, Navy, HAL, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, whatever, whosoever, in which perimeter, on whose perimeter you are running a drone. Okay, so yellow zone has been reduced from 45 kilometers to 12 kilometers from the air perimeter. Okay, and red zone is a no drone zone. Okay, within which drone can be operated only after taking the permission from the central government. Okay, so the airspace map can be modified by any of these authorized agency from time to time. Okay, they can change the feet area, they can change the red zone to green zone to yellow zone, like that they can do it, but only by the authorized entity. So anybody who's planning to operate a drone has to check mandatorily the latest airspace map. Okay, so this maps keeps on updating, and you have to get it checked in the zone boundary. Okay, so the drone air space map is freely available on a digital sky platform to all without any login required. That means you can see, and there is no login, nothing like that. You can see wherever it is. Okay. Okay, now what are the top 15 features of the drone rules? Some of them we have already discussed. Okay, so now several earlier based on the permission of premises of the trust, set, certification and non-intrusive monitoring, several permission earlier were required in order to run a drone, but now these several permission have been abolished. Earlier you have to take around 25 permission, now it has been come down to 5, and the fees, earlier around 72 type of fees you have to give, now it has come down to the 4. Okay, earlier you have to the digital sky platform being developed as a user friendly, and it is a single window system. Okay, you can go to the internet and you can just see the digital sky platform from there. Okay, then we have a interactive drone airspace map is there. You can go to and you can type on the internet, that is digital sky platform, and you will be getting all the green zone, yellow zone, red zone and everything you will be getting. Okay, so no permission is required for operating drone in the green zone. Yellow zone, where ATC permission is required, now that yellow zone has been reduced from 45 kilometers to 12 kilometers in the airport perimeters, and there is no remote pilot license required for micro drones for non-commercial uses. Then no security clearance required before issuance of any registration or license. Coverage of the drones have been increased from 300 kgs to 500 kgs, so this will be covering the drone taxis also. Okay, no restriction on foreign ownership in Indian drone companies. No requirement of import clearance from the Director General of Civil Aviation. Remote pilot license to be issued by the DGCA within 15 days of pilot receiving the remote pilot certificate from an authorized drone schools. Okay, and there is a maximum penalty for violation reduced to rupees 1 lakh. Earlier it was several lakh. Drone corridor will be developed for cargo deliveries. Okay, like that if Amazon, Flipkart or anybody who wanted to deliver the cargos, so their corridors will be developed, and drone promotion council will be also set up by the government, who will be participating in academia, startups and other stakeholders. So these are the very, very important 15 features related to the drone rules. Okay, so top 15 features of the PLI scheme for the drone. Okay, production link incentive schemes for the drone. What are the top important 15 features are there, so that we will be discussing right now. Okay, so the total amount of allocated PLI scheme for the drone component is INR 120 crore rupees for 3 financial years. So the amount is nearly double the combined turnover of the all domestic drone manufacturing. Okay, now any incentive for the manufacture of the drone and drone component can be high as 20% of the value addition. Then the value addition shall be calculated based on annual sale revenue from the drones and the drone components net of GST minus the purchase cost of the net GST. Then the government has agreed to keep PLI rate at constant of 20% for all 3 years. Exceptional treatment has been given only to this drone industry. In PLI scheme for other sector, the rates are reduced every year. Now the proposed tenure of the PLI scheme is 3 years from 2021-22. Now the PLI can be extended or redrafted after studying what is the impact of this whole scheme that is happening. Even the government has agreed to fix the minimum value addition norms at 40% of the net sale. Okay, drones and drone component instead of 50%. Another exceptional treatment has been given to the drone industry. Then we have a PLI scheme covered wide variety of drone components. Okay, what all components are being there which has been covered under this is, first of all is airframe, propulsion system like engine and electric propulsion system, then power system, batteries, associated component, launch, recovery. So these are some covered under the PLI scheme. Then inertial measurement unit, inertial navigation system, flight control module, ground control station, associated components. These are again coming under the PLI scheme. Then communication system like radio frequency transponder, satellite based communication, that is also again coming under the PLI scheme. Then camera, sensor, spring system and related payload, that is again coming under the drone PLI scheme. And then detect, avoid system, emergency recovery system, trackers and other component critical for the safety and security, that is also coming under the PLI scheme. Okay, so this list can be expanded by the government from time to time based on the type of requirement that is being needed or any type of technology that is going to develop. Okay, and widen of the coverage incentive for the scheme, drone related IT products will be also kept over there. Okay, and even the government has kept the eligibility norm for MSME and startups in terms of annual sale at nominal level like INR 2 crore for drones and INR 50 lakhs for drone component. Okay, so this can be widened in the coming future. Then eligibility norm for non-MSME companies in terms of annual sale turnover has been kept at 4 crore for drones and INR 1 crore for drone components, and the incentives that are being payable to the manufacturer of the drone and drone component will be 1/5 of her value additions. Okay, so you will get the incentives 1/5 of the value addition that you will be giving on that year. So this is regarding the drone rules of 2021. Okay, then drone in defense sectors are very important, and we have even seized their application that has been utilized in various type of application. So some of the very important application, the project like DRDO Laksh 12, DRDO Nishant 13, DRDO Rustam 14, okay, Laksh 12. This is a target drone which is using the discrete aerial reconnaissance and target acquisition. This is launched by a solid propellant rocket motor. Then we have our DRDO Nishant for intelligence gathering over the enemy territory, okay, for reconnaissance, training, surveillance, target destination, artillery firing correction and damage assessment. Okay, so this is again a very important type of a drone which will be helpful for surveillance activities. Then Rustam 14 is modeled, this has been modeled after the American Predator UAV. The Rustam is a medium altitude long endurance system. Okay, so the main purpose is for both reconnaissance and combat mission. Right now it is still at a prototype stage, and it will going to be replacing the Israel Heron model in the Indian Air Force. So slowly Indian armed forces, whether Air Force, Navy or Army, they are trying to develop the various type of technologies behind the drone. And drone will be utilized for various type of application, whether it's for target acquisition, whether it is for reconnaissance, whether it is for surveillance or intelligence gathering, or any type of target destination surveillance, or any type of thing. So this is all being part of the whole policy. Now we are coming into the next topic, that is called National Civil Aviation Policy. That is a salient features, a very very important National Civil Aviation Policy. So now the next is National Civil Aviation Policy. Under that we have a regional connectivity schemes that we have recently launched. Okay, so this scheme has been come into effect in 2016 and 17, regional connectivity schemes, in which the government has said that we will be keeping a target or like around rupees 2500 rupees if the flight is of 1 hour only. Okay, that is to make sure that more and more people travel through the flight. Okay, so how this is going to be funded and how this is going to be implemented? First of all, we need to revive the various airstrips. Airport as no frill airport as the indicative cost of rupees 50 crore to 100 crores, that will be also provided. Then it is a demand driven selection of airport airstrips for the revival. They will be consulted with the state government and airlines. Viability gap funding to airline operator will be provided. Regional connectivity scheme is only in those states which reduces their VAT on aviation turbine fuel to 1% or less. That means, there is a value added tax in the aviation turbine fuel. ATF means aviation turbine fuel, right? So if they are reducing their VAT on ATF by 1% or lower, and also providing other support service and 20% of the viability gap funding, then only their regional connectivity scheme government, central government will be supporting those state. Okay, so there will be no airport charges. They will be also reducing the service tax on the ticket on 10% of the taxable value. They will be also reducing excise duty of 2% on aviation turbines, aviation turbine fuel picked for the regional connectivity scheme. Then state government will be providing police and fire service free of cost, power, water and other utilities at the concessional rate. Creation of the regional connectivity fund and viability gap fund will be also done based on the levy per departure, like how much are the people are departing from there, and based on that a levy will be utilized, and that money will be utilized for the regional connectivity fund. Okay, so the viability gap fund will be shared by the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the state government in the ratio of 80:20, and for the northeastern state it is 90:10 ratio, right? Then under that we have a route dispersal guidelines are also being launched. Okay, so what type of route, at which route, how much route, who are going to be going there? Okay, like category 1 to be rationalized based on the transparent criteria. That means flying distance of more than 700 kilometers, average seat factor of 70% and above, an annual traffic of 5 lakh passenger. The percentage of category 1 traffic to be deployed on the category 2 and 2A will remain the same, while category 3 it will be 35%. So route to Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh will be included in the category 2. Then revised categorization to apply from winter schedule of the 2017. So this is some of the technical details. Okay, so this is not that much necessary, but since it is being part of the national aviation policy, that is why I have given it to you. So their views of route will be done. Okay, every route will be again reviewed every 5 years, and withdrawal or revision of the domestic operation or to within northeast region or subject to the full compliance of the RDG route dispersal guideline will be done prior to the intimation to the Ministry of Civil Aviation in at least 3 months before the withdrawal. Okay, so if you wanted to withdraw your domestic operation from certain route, then you have to provide them with a 3 months before 3 months prior intimation. You have to provide it to the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Then 520 requirement earlier was there. Now earlier the airlines, if they wanted to operate in an international route, they have to follow a 520 requirement at least. That means they have a 5 years of domestic flying experience and at least 20 aircraft in their fleet. okay, then only they can apply for international operation. But now this has been replaced with a scheme. Now in order to provide a level playing field over this, now all airlines can now commence their international operation provided they deploy 20 aircraft or 20% of their total capacity, like in terms of average number of seats to all departures put together, whichever is higher for the domestic operation. That means at least 20% of the total capacity has to go for the domestic, rest whatever they wanted to do, like that. So now 5/20 rule has been gone in order to provide the level playing field. Now regarding the bilateral traffic rights, we have a government has opened with the open sky policy, okay, on reciprocal basis with the SAARC countries, okay, and countries which is located beyond 5,000 kilometers nearby our own country, okay. So any countries which is within 5,000 kilometer of the radius where the Indian carriers have not utilized 80% of their capacity entitlements, but foreign carriers have utilized their bilateral rights, a method will be recommended by the committee headed by the cabinet secretary for allotment of additional capacity. That means we have a open sky policy with the SAARC countries which is located, and the countries which are located beyond 5,000 kilometer from the Delhi. Okay, so there is a capacity entitlement that has been given to the various carrier. Okay, so here they are saying is that if any of our Indian carrier has not utilized 80% of their capacity entitlement, but foreign countries or foreign carriers have utilized their bilateral rights, now it is up to the committee which is headed by the cabinet secretary, like how they are going to provide additional capacity entitlement to the carrier. Okay, so whenever designated carrier of India have utilized 80% of their capacity, the same will be renegotiated in the usual manner. Okay, so this will be going like that. Now what about the ground handling policy? So ground handling, instruction, regulation, there will be having a totally new framework. Okay, so the airport operator will be able to handle the 3 ground handling agencies like Air India subsidiaries, joint venture, and all major airport defined by the AERA Act. At non-major airport, the airport operator to decide on the number of ground handling agencies based on the traffic output. All domestic scheduled airlines operator like helicopter operator, they will be free to carry out their self-handling at the airport through their regular employees. Hiring of the employee through manpower supply or contract worker will not be permitted for security reason. Okay, so hiring of employee through manpower supplier or contract worker will not be permitted for security reasons. So that is up to based on the non-major airport domestic schedule. Okay, they can carry out their regular they can utilize their regular employee. Okay, but hiring of employee through manpower supplier or any type of contract worker will not be permitted for security reason. Now airport public private partnership and airport authority of India, now there has been encouragement that has been given for the development of airport by airport authority of India, state government, the private sector or PPP model. Okay, future tariff at all airports will be calculated on hybrid till basis. Okay, hybrid till means until and unless you don't specify in a concession argument, 30% of the non-aeronautical revenue will be utilized for cross subsidies aeronautical charges. Okay, so for cross subsidization. Okay, then if there is an increase in the non-aeronautical revenues for better utilization or commercial opportunities of the city side land, okay, then Airport Authority of India to be compensated in case any new greenfield airport is approved in further within 150 kilometer of the radius of the existing unsaturated operation of the Airport Authority of India. Okay, like that. Now aviation security, immigration and customs. Now aviation security, immigration and customs. So Ministry of Civil Aviation will be developing a service delivery module for your aviation security, for your immigration, for your customs, for your quarantine officer, etc. So they will be doing a lot of consultation with various ministries and departments. So here they are allowing the Indian carriers to provide the security services to other domestic airlines subject to the approval of BCAS. Okay, so BCAS is Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. Okay, so now they are encouraging the use of private security agency for at airport for non-core security work. Okay, if there is other security like non-core securities works are there where they do not require frisking and various other things, so that type of security work will be given to the private security agency. So that will also be decided by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then such agency should be registered under the Private Security Agency Regulation Act of 2005 and will also be separately accredited by the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. Okay, so subject to a minimum benchmark being met, security architecture different airports will be proportional to their threat classification and traffic volume. Now what is regarding the helicopters and the charters act? Okay, so there has a separate regulation that has been put for the helicopters and the charters that will be also notified by the Director General of Civil Aviation, because after all the stakeholder consultation. So Ministry of Civil Aviation will be coordinating with government agencies and other helicopter operator and other facilitating helicopter emergency medical services. Okay, so helicopter are free to fly from point to point without prior ATC clearance in airspace below 5,000 feet. Like if they are flying below 5,000 feet, they do not require ATC clearance. Okay, and area other than controlled or prohibited or restricted airspace. Okay, so now airport charges for helicopter operation will be rationalized. The existing policy of allowing inclusive tour packages like charter planes, this is again because all the charter planes are also being stationed at the airports. Okay, so again based on the type of charter planes, the category of the charter planes and the passengers and to whom it belongs and what type and how many days and what type of category it is, so based on that charges will be applied over there. Then this is one of the most important part, that is maintenance, repair and overall, we call it as MRO operation. MRO operation, like in India the MRO carriers around 5,000 crore rupees, Indian carriers. So MRO business is of India's 5,000 crore and 90% of this is spent outside India. Okay, so now in our budget 2016-17 the custom duty has been rationalized and the procedure for clearance of the goods is simplified. Now further incentives are also being provided to push this sector and to make India a MRO hub. Okay, so Ministry of Civil Aviation is working with the state government to make VAT zero rate on the MRO activities. Okay, so keep the MRO activities VAT zero so that Indian MRO industry should rise up. So provision for adequate land and MRO service providers shall be made in all future airport and helicopter projects and potential for such MRO services. Okay, so airport royalty additional charges will not be levied on MRO services for a period of 5 years on the policy inclusion. Okay, now regarding the aviation education and skill building. Okay, so as per the direction that has been given under this policy regarding the employment requirement, civil aviation sector by 2035 is going to be about 3.3 lakh people will be working over there. Additional employment will be generated, direct additional employment requirement, this much is the additional employment requirement is there. Okay, so all training in non-licensed category will have to conform to the NSQF framework, like National Skill Qualification Framework Standard. Okay, so all trainings in non-licensed category they have to do that. Okay, Ministry of Civil Aviation will be providing full support to the Aviation Skill Sector Council, Sector Skill Council, and there are various extension services and various other on-ground services are there which will be utilized. So based on that, skills have to be imparted in all these area. In the coming future, we will be needing nearly 8,000 more pilots holding a commercial pilot license, but who do not found any regular employment. Right now there are nearly 8,000 pilots are there who are not finding any type of regular employment for themselves. So that is why Ministry of Civil Aviation is also finding out the scheme to how to select the pilot and let the other pilots so that they can also able to find the jobs in the aviation market. Okay, so this has to have separate this will be further separately dealt with it. Okay, now we are moving towards the next scheme that we have already discussed, but now we have to discuss in detail, that is regional connectivity scheme, that is Ude Desh ki Aam Nagrik, that is UDAN scheme, very important scheme. So under the regional connectivity scheme, So this has been launched by the government of India, that is named as an UDAN, that is Ude Desh Ke Aam Nagrik. So it is again a government backed initiative to improve the infrastructure and connectivity, especially the remote and the underserved area. Okay, so this has been completing already 6 years. They have completed right now. I think it started in 2016. Now it has already completed around 8 years. Okay, so it has a vision of 10-year vision. Okay, so the first regional connectivity scheme UDAN was inaugurated on April 27, 2017. So in order to connect Shimla with Delhi. Okay, so main focus is to improve the unserved air routes and underserved region of the country, to fulfill the aspiration of the common citizen, so that everybody can fly the craft. Okay, so till now, regional connectivity scheme has facilitated around 130 lakh passengers, and this shows the success of this whole scheme. Okay, so over the period of 6 years earlier, okay, so we'll be coming out with some of the futuristic things also. So UDAN 1, so here the airline companies have awarded 128 flight routes to 70 airports, including 36 new airports. Then in UDAN 2.0, the second phase, the 73 underserved and unserved airports were announced for the first time. Helipads were also connected this time. Then UDAN 3.0, it is in coordination with Ministry of Tourism. Tourism routes were also added over here. In this tourism route were added. In here, seaplanes for connecting the water aerodromes. Several routes in the northeastern region came into the embed. Then UDAN 4.0 again gave impetus to the northeastern region, hilly and island areas, and operation of helicopters and seaplanes. So slowly, different types of routes have been included, and different types of mode of transport has also been included over here. Now we have running a version of 5.0, 5.1 and 5.2. Okay, so after the 4 successful rounds, this is the 5th version of regional connectivity scheme, especially focus on category 2, 20 to 80 seats, and category 3, that is more than 80 seats aircraft. Okay, so the cap is of 600 kilometers has been removed, and now there is no restriction on the distance between origin and the destinations of the flight. Okay, now again, so this is going to be, airline would now be required to commence their operation within 4 months once they are being awarded the route under that. Okay, and they can even change as they help them to for better planning their operation, and if their average quarterly PLF of the route for 4 continuous quarter is higher than 85%, the exclusivity for that route would be withdrawn. Okay, so allowing for the other airlines to also provide connectivity on that route. So that means if your PLF of the route for 4 continuous quarter is higher than 85, okay, then exclusivity for that route would be withdrawn, and other airlines will be also allowed to operate on that line. Okay, now again, then after that we have a UDAN 5.1. This is designed for helicopter routes by increasing their operation for helicopter operation under the viability gap fund, and also to reduce the airfare caps. Okay, so this scheme will be allowed to operationalize on the route provided at least one origin or destination in a priority area, and at least one origin or destination in a heliport area. Okay, like that. Then currently right now bidding is for UDAN 5.2 is going on, and it is further enhancing the connectivity, especially to the remote and the regional area, to provide the last mile connectivity for the tourism circuit where less than 20 seats aircraft is there. Okay, so they will be providing more and more operational flexibility to small aircraft, helicopters, and they can operate at a maximum of 40% of the annual quota of the RCS and a minimum of a 10% of the annual quota of RCS in the given seat in any quarter. So this is how this regional connectivity scheme is working. Now what is the objective? Obviously it is facilitating the regional connectivity between 200 to 800 kilometers. It is providing affordable airfare. Okay, concessional fare, where central government, state government and airport authority is reducing the operation costs, also providing viability gap funding. Then seat reservation and fare cappings, like a minimum number of subsidized seat has to be given. Then regional connectivity fund has been created. We will be discussing about this regional connectivity fund. Then geographical spread, it is spread across 5 geographical region in India in order to have a balanced regional growth. Then revival of the airport, so those airport which are being very very remote and which airport which are underserved and unserved areas airport are there, then we are revitalizing the existing airstrips and various other things. Then UDAN operate for a period of 10 years. So that is for, especially for the 10 years, this scheme has been launched. So significance is affordability and connectivity, obviously providing much more trade and tourism. Okay, but there are certain criticism is also associated with the regional connectivity scheme, is sometimes it is having a misplaced priorities are there. Okay, they are arguing subsidies for airlines in developing countries like India, so it can be misallocated. It can be, it is not misallocated, it can be. Then growing aviation market, so India is the fastest growing aviation market, suggests that state subsidy could be utilized more effectively anywhere else, because since the market is already expanding, it is not like that the market is simply sitting, so these subsidies can be utilized somewhere else also. Then sustainability concern is also being there, so this has been assumed that the routes will be become more and more sustainable in 3 years, but it may become sustainable, it may not become sustainable, it all depends on how it is going to be working. Okay, so now what is this regional connectivity scheme is going to provide? Okay, so it is fueling the growth in the aviation sector, right? It is contributing 4 new and successful airlines have last 6 year has come up. Okay, it is also providing startup innovation for sustainable business model and everywhere. Demand for new aircraft for all sizes is rising right now. Air India has given the order of various aircraft, then Indigo has given the order of various aircraft. Okay, so there is an incremental expansion is going on, and more demand for new aircraft is being given. Okay, so helicopters, seaplanes, 3-seater propeller planes, then jet planes are there. We have a diversified fleet of 320, 321 Boeing, 373 ATR 42, 72 DHC Q400 twin otter Embraer. These are the type of which are also being running into the regional connectivity scheme, regional connectivity schemes route. Okay, so this is showing that since the demand of the aircraft is rising, that means the demand of the demand for airfare, the demand for air route and demand for air travel is also rising. Then promoting of the tourism is also one more thing which is being related to this. Okay, so it is not solely dedicated to offer last mile connectivity, it is also providing much more contribution for tourism sector. UDAN 3.0 has introduced tourism route. We have already seen here, if you go here, we can see here UDAN 3.0 has selected the Ministry of Tourism routes have been connected. Okay, so this is again being providing a very very sustainable tourism in the hilly region. Various areas are there. Okay, like we have a important destination Khajuraho, Deogarh, Amritsar, Kishangarh, Ajmer and various other places. Religious tourism, wherever you can go to the tourist places, you can go to the natural places and everything. So this is providing much more greater accessibilities in those areas, right? Now boosting air connectivity, okay, from Mudra in Gujarat to Teju in Arunachal Pradesh to Hubli in Karnataka. This is connecting 30 states across states and union territories across the whole length and breadth of our country. Then around total 75 airports have been operationalized under the UDAN scheme. 8 airports have already been operationalized in the northeast. Okay, then we have Darbhanga, Hubali, Kannur, Mysuru. They have become more and more sustainable, and many non-regional connectivity scheme commercial flights are operating over there right now. That means they have become more and more operational, more and more people are going because of the tourism activities. Okay, so Ministry of Civil Aviation and Steel, Jyotiraditya Sindha. So this is what has been said by our minister, who was the Minister Jyotiraditya Sindha, said that completion of the 6th year of UDAN is a very very incredible milestone, and over the past 6 years UDAN has unlocked the true potential of our country. Okay, so this is what is the statement that has been given by our minister regarding that regarding the stakeholder, airline, airport authority, and everybody who is transforming the lives and uplifting the communities. Those who are not able to fly earlier, now they are able to fly with a much more confidence. Okay, now we are coming to the next topic, that is called NUB. Sorry, before going to the next topic, we have to discuss regarding the regional connectivity fund. You know, this is regional connectivity scheme is there, so someone has to fund this scheme also, right? So regional connectivity fund was created under the power of the rule 88 of the aircraft rule. So they are going to provide viability gap funding requirement under this scheme. So central government has said that they will be imposing a levy on scheduled flight which will be operated within India to fund the regional connectivity. That means if any flight is operating, so they will be levying certain charges on that flight. Okay, so but some flights are being exempted from this levy. That means any flight who is operating on category 2A routes or specified route dispersal guidelines under rule 131(1)(a), or any flight who is operating on RCS route, or any flight which is operating with aircraft having maximum certified takeoff mass not exceeding 40,000 kg. Okay, so the payment of the viability gap fund will be made to the selected airlines operator from the regional connectivity fund. Okay, so from this fund, under the viability gap fund, the selected airlines will get the fund for the operation under the regional connectivity fund. Okay, so the selection of the airlines who will be getting this fund will be done through a transparent bidding process, and the RCS flight is expected to start from January 2017 onward. Okay, so that we have already discussed, because during that time only this regional connectivity scheme has started. Now NUB, next generation airport for Bharat Nirman initiative. So you know, right now we are having around 124 Airport Authority of India airports are there. Okay, so there are new proposal are also coming, because we know that new traffic, huge traffic is getting generated because of tourism activity, because of the business activities and various activities. Okay, so the capacity of the airport of more than 5 times of the airport capacity, because we have to handle 1 billion trips in a year. Okay, so the project is aiming to construct around 100 new airport in the next 10 years. Around 2 trillion rupees has to be invested over there. So there has to be a next generation airport has to be constructed. Okay, so there is a scheme to increase the number of airport and the capacity to handle the traffic. So the key initiative is to improve the passenger amenities, passenger services, how we can much more in a efficient way promote the cargo, and how we can handle the cargo in a much more efficient way, and operationalize the 56 new airport under the UDAN key initiative, and how we can connect these properly with more and more sustainable way, more and more passengers in this way. So this is the aim of this under the NUB airport. Okay, now under the NUB Nirman initiative, this has been announced by the government in the February. NUB Nirman is to expand the airport capacity that 5 times. Okay, so the 3 key aspects is fair and equitable land acquisition, long-term master plan for airport regional development, and balanced economic to the all stakeholders. This is what exactly that we are expecting from this NUB next generation airport for Bharat Nirman. Okay, so in the last 3 years, domestic air passenger has grew by 18%. And the airline company has placed an order of more than 900 aircraft. That means they are expecting that they will be having a larger number of passenger that will be traveling, and NUB Nirmal could take the number of airport in India to 700 from 125 today. So this is what is all the things. That is why this NUB new next gen airport for the Bharat NUB Nirman is going to work. For that, proper funding is being provided with all the new amenities and everything. Okay, so thank you so much. I hope so all the topic related to the civil aviation policies and schemes we have discussed today. So we'll be coming out with the next topic in the next class. So thank you so much. Bye bye, take care and have a good day.